As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 58 of Zero to Hero. Got another great guest coming at you today. His name is Karl Eberle. He is the founder and owner of TECS LLC. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Karl, how are you today, sir?
I'm good.
Good, fantastic. So before we get into the show here, tell us a little bit about TECS. What do you guys do over there?
Well, I started TECS when I retired from Harley Davidson. And what I do is I go into companies and I help them to become more profitable. That's an easy statement, but there's a process involved. Go in and analyze the company, make recommendations, and then we implement changes.
I gotcha. So a lot of that sounds like it's a discovery phase of kind of going in and seeing how they're doing operations. And then I assume kind of what you guys are doing is streamlining their processes so they're spending less time on certain things and in turn more profitable, or how does it all work?
Well, it depends a lot on the company. So you go into a typical company, you spend about a week. You look at their people, the leadership, how they interact. You look at the floor, assuming they have manufacturing, you're out on the floor looking at their manufacturing processes. And then you decide based on what you see, where are the bottlenecks? Where are the issues that really stop this company from making a lot more money or putting out more products or a combination thereof? And it could be anything from the leadership, which usually is at least half of the issue.
Sure.
Yeah, at least half. And once you get past leadership, then it's usually pretty easy to implement change that'll affect throughput and profitability. But there's no one set formula. Each company is a little different. But I'm not sure I ever went into a company where there wasn't some leadership changes that were needed to really make the next level of change in the company. But I'm sure someday I'll walk.
Oh, I lost you there for a second. Sorry about that. What'd you say?
I said, hopefully someday I'll walk into a company that there will be no leadership issues at all. You just go right to the floor. But
That's the dream, huh?
Yeah, amen.
That's so funny. I mean, it makes perfect sense when you say it. That's not, I don't think, something that people would automatically think of when we're looking at ways that we can be more profitable. Obviously, we always say, you know, things start at the top, right? But but hearing you say that, it's kind of eye-opening. I'm sure there's some tough conversations that go along with your position there as well. People don't like to hear that they're the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's so dependent on the company as to how they react to it. So normally I spend a week with a company if it's decent size. If it's smaller, I can do it in a couple of days. And then, you know, I go through this report that I send in and I give them a list of things that are good about the company. And then there's always the ones room for opportunity, right? And that's a tough list. And I put it at the top things are on the top, and they usually involve people, and then work my way down. So I get three reactions out of that. The first one is usually about a third of the population. They say, we love your report, but we're going to do it all on our own, which is the same as saying, why don't you just get out of here? Because we're not going to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And the second third, they'll look at it and say, you know, let's get working on some of these, but let's start on number 10 and work our way down, not up. And so you really don't have any impact in a company if you do that. And then the last third is run or go. They will implement whatever changes it takes to get them where they need to be. And that's it. It can be fun, but it also, you're right. Some of the issues are tough. but they're very necessary in order to move forward. And say, what? Why do I know about this? I mean, I've been in manufacturing for 40 years. I better have learned something there while I was doing it. And it's very obvious when you walk into a company if the leadership processes are nice and smooth, or if there's leadership issues on communication. It's usually pretty easy to see, especially when you're on the outside looking in. You can see it when you're in it every day, caught up in the day-to-day things that you do. It's easy to lose sight. Very easy to
Oh yeah.
lose sight. Or in
Yeah.
some cases,
Yeah.
people don't know what they don't know. They've been in the same company forever, since day one. So that's their background, and they don't even understand what some of the things are that they could be doing. So it's a huge combination, but each company is different, without a doubt. And I've probably been in 20 of them since I started my company.
Wow.
And it could have been more, but I don't want to work full time. So my ideal thing is to work 1 week a month.
There
It
you go.
never works that way. It never works that way. So, some months I don't work at all, but then there's like right now I've been working for 3 months straight,
Oh man.
which is, yeah, which is fine in the winter, but I'm ready to take a break for the summer now.
Yeah, that weather's starting to get a little nice. Time to get out, play a little
Oh,
golf,
yeah.
and enjoy some baseball for sure. So that's awesome. And I tell you, I was looking obviously a little bit into text before we had you on the show here, and I came across your case studies, and I think
Okay.
it's so funny, with that first third, right? Obviously, you've saved companies a ton of money, and it made them extremely more profitable in the 7-figure range, right? Or 8-figure range. So it's so funny to me that that first third, it's like, why would you just completely get rid of it? Or even the second third, where it's like, these are the main problems. Let's work on these, but we're going to ignore those. We're going to work on these things that we
Yeah.
feel are easier. It's like, man, what are you thinking? You're literally missing out on millions of dollars of
No,
profit by
it's
being
it's
hard headed.
never simple. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes the company's still making real good money and they're satisfied.
sure.
Right. So you got a leader in there that's not sure of himself, but they're making money. So he's going to say, hey, I think we'll just stay with what we got. Right. So, yeah, it's never simple, especially when you're talking about a private company that maybe there's 2 or 3 family members in the company. It always makes it more exciting.
Yeah,
So,
I bet. I bet. We definitely experience that on our side, from a marketing perspective as well. Obviously that's a very consultative type approach, and people are very set in their ways, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we definitely deal with some of those same conversations, and a lot of times it is the leadership that's holding it
oh,
back. So I definitely understand where you're coming
without a doubt. But
from. Yeah,
it's always interesting. Yeah. No, I
yeah.
enjoy it. Every company is different, and that makes it pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. And it is such a good perspective from that outside kind of third party view. I mean, like I said, we kind of see that
yeah.
as well. So that's awesome. Well, Carl, let's get into the meat of the show here. So not really Tex, or Harley Davidson, your experience there, but who is Karl Eberle? Give us your elevator pitch about who you are.
Well, I can start at the beginning, right? My parents were Swiss immigrants. They came over in the 20s, like lots of Europeans did. Went through Ellis Island. In fact, this weekend I'm going to New York. My grandson's flying over from Switzerland, and my daughter, and we're going to go to Ellis Island so she could see where her grandparents came through.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it really is cool. So anyway, my parents were cheesemakers, and that's one thing I will not eat cheese. I absolutely hate it. So
Really?
I didn't know what I was going to be when I grew up, but I knew I wasn't going to be a cheesemaker. So I kind of followed one of my brothers. He went into engineering, and I thought, you know what? It's good for him. It's good for me. And so I went through engineering school, and I went to work for Motorola designing police radios. But I didn't enjoy it because it was so confining. You're in these little test booths. You have to be out of the way of all the radio waves. I lasted there about 2 years, and I decided to go to work for John Deere. And back in those days, back in the 70s, you could switch jobs anytime you wanted. There were so many jobs available. And how they kept you though was they had pension plans back then, something not heard of today.
Right.
Well, I went to work for John Deere for 17 years. We built consumer products, lawn tractors. Back then, they built snowmobiles. And I did that. And until I went through a divorce, I worked myself out of my wife. I'm a workaholic. So I went to work for Harley Davidson for 22 years, and I ended up as their senior vice president of manufacturing. And I had factories in all over the world. I had them in India and South America and Italy and Australia, and there was 5 of them in the States. So I spent probably 80% of my time on the road. And
Wow.
that's not exactly good for a marriage either.
Sure.
I retired in 2012, and that's when I decided to do this. But I enjoy working with people. I enjoy seeing people accelerate. I ran the Harley factory in Kansas City for 10 years. In fact, I'm the one that brought it to Kansas City. Unfortunately, it's not here any longer. But it was a very, very unique experience to run a brand new or build a brand new Harley factory and then run it. And some great employees were there, like most companies have. So I started this little business and I enjoy it. I've been in a lot of different companies. Like I've been in Fender, where they make the guitars.
Yeah.
And I've been in Caterpillar and quite a few big companies. So the opportunities exist everywhere without a doubt. I probably in Kansas City, I've probably been in 7 or 8 different companies here. And I'll continue to do this until they say you're too old to be effective. I don't know. Maybe I think it'll be time to retire for good, but we'll see what happens. But right now, I enjoy it, so I'll keep doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Big traveler for sure. And obviously, I know your daughter, and she is a massive traveler as well. It seems like every week
Yeah.
she's posted on social media. She's somewhere else in the country or in the world even. So
You're talking about Brianna, right?
really, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have Hannah lives in Switzerland, and so does Ingrid. So
Okay,
they're equally as motivated to travel. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Practically the 3 girls do the traveling, or the bulk of it at least. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it sounds like you had that bug. Maybe not as much vacation, but forced travel with the work. But
Oh
kind of
yeah.
got your own experience there as well.
It was. I mean, at Harley, we had these rallies you'd go on, and they'd publish where the rallies were going to be around the world. And if you were one of the senior leaders, you could pick the ones you wanted to go to. So
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't bother going to any stateside ones. Everything was international. And I took the kids. I could take one, obviously, along on each trip. And they got pretty addicted to travel.
Yeah.
And it's cool when you're riding a motorcycle across, like Russia or anywhere
Yeah.
in South America or Europe. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
sure
is
that
awesome.
got them oriented to do more of it.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to pass along. There's a lot of experience that comes along with travel
Oh,
that, especially here in the Midwest, people that don't leave the Midwest very often, we don't really
yeah.
get that, right? So it's
That's true.
vital.
That's true. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
But
get out there and see the world.
yeah,
The
a lot,
Midwest is great, but get out of here.
a lot of similarities and a lot of differences, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go on to the next question here. Tell us a little bit about your social media journey. What's that been like for you personally and professionally?
Social media journey. You got to give me some help. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, where
Uh,
have you used it in business? Has it been effective for you at all?
well, I tell you right now, I'm working for a company called Vitacraft. They make cookware. And they're in Shawnee. I had no idea they existed, and we're just going to use social media for that. We've put a website together, and now we're going to go ahead and advertise on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, and I don't know, it's 5 or 6 of them, right?
Yeah.
Do I use them personally? Only when the kids send me stuff, right, on Instagram or Facebook, then I'll click on it. But for me, no, I just don't use it much. I'm fine with email, texting, and my phone. I can handle it. But you get past that, it just doesn't seem like fun to me. But
Yeah.
I'm sure if I got into it, it would be fine. But it's enough just keeping up with the kids and how much they're using the grandkids, right? Yeah, I mean, that's their second language, to say the
Oh man,
least. So
it's
yeah, I'd
it's
say
crazy.
I'm pretty limited on social media, but I recognize, I mean, for a company like I'm in right now, it's a real lifeline to the future, and we got to take advantage of it. So, and we got some great stuff to offer if you like cooking. I just had no idea that this high level cookware was made in Shawnee, Kansas. Very, very interesting. But so, yeah, my social media is limited. I'm sure I probably do more, but right now I'd say I'm introductory level.
Which is totally fine, right? I mean, that's kind of where the theme of the show comes from, zero to hero, right? Because everybody, when you start on social media, you're starting from nothing, right? I mean, you could
Yeah.
be, 50 years old and starting it, or you could be 10 years old and starting it. But either way, you've got to start building that presence if it's something that you're going to use, right? And coming from a business standpoint, with the cookware, obviously, as you guys are implementing that strategy, we know that that's huge, right? Not only to let people know that the cookware is available, but that they're right here in Shawnee, right? And there's
Oh,
not a whole
yeah.
lot of ways
Yeah.
to figure that out without that kind of stuff. So
And, yeah, it's interesting to go through and see how cookware is made. So we're going to open it up for tours, and I mean it's very very interesting and unique when you see a piece of metal and it gets made into a pan and a cover, and you polish it up, and it looks like a jewel. Excuse me, it reminds me of making Harleys. I mean, there's no blemishes on this cookware, and I think, holy shit, this stuff looks like it needs to be on display, not in an oven. I mean,
yeah,
it's very attractive looking cookware, no
that
doubt.
is
It's one of
amazing,
those
and
you buy. Oh, it is. It really is, and it's heavy. If you pick up a pot and you think there should be food in here, it's so heavy. Yeah, it's different than what I'd ever been exposed to before. But
yeah, the moving the
it has.
metal and changing that is oh I get so enthralled with watching that kind of stuff. We were actually just at a blacksmith a couple weeks ago filming a video called Hand and Hammer KCK, and he was taking these massive pieces of metal and heating them up, and the knives that he's able to make with these, and the Damascus
Oh,
type stuff
absolutely.
where it's layered. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful to see a leaf spring or some piece of chunk metal that gets turned into this beautiful
Oh,
piece of art, really, so
plus the energy he has to put into that. It's amazing. Yeah, no,
yeah,
no, I agree.
it's
But
cool stuff.
yeah, no, it really is, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely awesome. So let's get into the next one here, Carl. Now, every superhero has a defining moment. What do you think yours is when it comes to your life and your career?
I think both your life and career, uh, relationships, they are such a vital part of if you want your personal life and your professional life. And it really didn't hit me until I ran a small factory in northern Wisconsin where you either worked for Harley or you were cutting trees in the woods. And
Mhm.
so we're, maybe 200 employees total. And I just didn't realize how significant it was. But once I found out the value of those relationships, um, it's almost better than technology. It's amazing what you can do when people are all alignment. If you're in alignment from a goals and perspective, and they know that you support them and they got your back, oh, there's no limit to what you can do. So I utilize that going forward with every factory that I ran, and I really had some very, very great results. And even from a personal perspective, I put a lot of energy into establishing the relationships, and I'd rather have a few great friends than 1,000 acquaintances. And I take people up to, I have a place in Alaska where we go fishing, and we always take up 12 people. It used to be 12 guys, but now there's a lot of ladies that like to go as well. And I take up people that I know, and it's amazing. We fish and we work. So we got this place up there. We only spend 10 days a year. So we got to do the maintenance for the year at the same time. So everybody has a job. Everybody has to help cook, clean, do like we're going to build a deck this year and we're going to replace some carpeting. with people that have no idea. They've never done this before. But day 5, we're up there for 10 days. Day 5, I always ask everybody, tell me what you like about this place, what you didn't like. Just give me your feelings. And inevitably, they'll say the highlight is they worked with people they've never worked with before, but everybody was friendly. Usually, fishing is secondary. I mean, we catch a lot of fish. Like last year, we caught 750 salmon. I mean,
Wow.
you're talking, 8 to 12 pound fish. So it's great. But I mean, when you catch a lot of them, maybe you just take it for granted. But they talk about the people and the relationships and the friendships that have been formed. And I think that is an eye-opening moment. And I reflect on my life, and those are the critical pieces now. I invest a lot now in my kids, a lot of time for them. They enjoy it when I come over. Like we went backpacking in the Alps 2 summers ago, and I had no idea we were going for 60 miles. But my God! But to be there with 2 of my daughters, they love it. And Brianna loves it when I go down to the lake. So to me, relationships is a key factor, without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. That's everything. I mean, you kind of mentioned
Yeah.
the technology piece there at the beginning. Without the relationships, the technology is worthless. I mean, you can only do
It's
so
true.
much by yourself, and nobody is an expert at everything, regardless of how good they are at some things. I mean, you need people in your life, and those solid
Absolutely.
relationships are definitely gonna
Yep.
it's
And
gonna
maybe
take you
if
there.
you were running a factory that was 100% robotic, but you still got maintenance and you got your engineers, and yeah, it would be difficult to get. You know what? It's more fun when you have relationships too.
Yeah,
When you
and
tell
you're
somebody,
more productive. I mean, there's a book by Stephen Covey called The Speed of Trust, right? And
oh yeah,
it very much
I've read
has
the
to
book.
deal with yeah, it's a great one. I mean, it very much has to deal with this, right? Of how much more efficient are you when those relationships are good and people trust you, so you nailed it, 100%.
It makes a huge, huge difference. And I tell my grandkids the same thing, and that that's what you want to strive for. You get those relationships, and the rest will come. Undoubtedly. I
Absolutely.
mean, there's going to be a negative one somewhere along the road.
Oh
I
yeah.
found a couple of them, but but generally very positive. So yeah,
You know what? And even in those relationships that we might label as negative, right? I mean, there's always positive that comes out of that, right? Hopefully, if you're
yeah,
somebody that
sure.
likes to learn from failure and that kind of thing, at the very least, you learn who you don't like, right? Because you're not going to get along with everybody,
That's
So
it's like
yeah.
learning you don't like cheese. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm still wrapping my head around that one. I don't I don't hear that very often. Usually it's the other way around. It's like, give me all the cheese.
Oh my God. I couldn't pick up a piece of raw cheese. There's no way I could pick a piece of that up. It
Oh
just,
man, is it just the consistency or the flavor or?
well, no, it's my memories, right? I lived in a cheese, when you live in a cheese factory, most people don't even know what that
Gotcha.
means, right? In back in the 70s, 60s, these cheese factories were located out in the country. And they were like a big house, but the cheese factory was in the basement. So every day you'd process the milk and make it into cheese downstairs, and then you lived upstairs. You never got away from it, and
Gotcha.
and you make it 7 days a week. So yeah, I mean, I knew that was no way would I ever do something like that. I'd rather. Well, I'm on a farm now, and I love that. It's great. The definition of a farm is there's always something broke. And to me, it keeps me occupied. So yeah, I
Oh,
enjoy
that's
it.
funny.
But
That's
it's
funny.
it's also nice, right? You're kind of isolated out there, so you got plenty of privacy, and you can do what you want to do. So yeah, I enjoy that part. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
the way I feel about it.
The overexposure to the cheese killed it for
Oh
you.
my God,
That's funny. Well, Carl, let's get into the next one here, buddy. What are the attributes that you feel define a hero?
that feel what?
What are the attributes that you feel define a hero or heroism?
Oh, a hero? Well, I mean, I always think about leadership, right? To me, if you really want to be different, um, to me, you put yourself at the same level as those that you're with, and if you can do that, and you make it sincere, because if it's not sincere, it takes what, maybe 5 seconds for somebody to see right through you. But I enjoy going out on the floor. I love going with the operators and trying to do what they can do. I mean, you're going to screw it up every time, but the fact that you're willing to try puts a dimension that they normally don't see. Or go to the maintenance guy and talk to him about what's going on and how you can help, and they appreciate it. And I appreciate it because I feel like I'm connected to the organization. And to me, people that can do that, and then if you can tell stories on top of that, I mean, everybody likes stories. So I know when I give talks, I'll always put some stories in, and I got some really great stories. And if you can get people to laugh and learn at the same time, that's pretty special. So the people that help me a lot, maybe one more attribute is, if you can mentor somebody, you really know the subject if you can teach somebody else the subject. Now, I don't care what it is, if it's speaking or just straight communication skills. That is another thing that I've learned, that you really know a subject if you can teach it, assuming you're decent at teaching it. But those things, I believe, separate the leaders from the real leaders, or people in general. You get attracted to people, right? You can tell which people are friendly or that you want to spend time with, and then the other ones are easy to pick off. You just as soon walk the other direction. But yeah, to me, those are attributes for anybody that is very successful.
I love it. I love it. Those are great answers. All right, last one here for you, Karl. If you had to pick any superhero that relates best to you, who do you
You're
think that'd
breaking
be?
up now.
Oh, can you hear me? Give it a second
Huh.
to catch the bandwidth. You got me better. Got me better
Okay,
now?
now,
Okay, perfect. So
yep,
if you
no.
had to pick a superhero that relates best to you, who do you think that'd be? And give us a couple reasons why.
Well, I mean, I look at my life and I think, who who was there to help me at the defining moments, and when I look at manufacturing, there was one person that's deceased now. His name is George Elliott, and he was one of those people that, if you just watch him, you knew that you would learn something from him. And that was my goal, was to get close enough to him so that I could learn manufacturing.
Mm,
And I learned a ton from the guy. And we didn't spend a couple of years we worked together, but after that, he went his way, I went my way. But we always stayed connected. So when I built this new factory in Kansas City, I brought him there, and he cried openly. It
mm,
was very touching. But and then personally, I mean, everybody wants to meet somebody that they can be with the rest of their life, right? And I'm hoping that I hope I'm on to somebody now. I hope. So to me, having a great partner is really a critical piece. There's a book out called Younger Next Year. Everybody should read this book. It tells you there's three. If you want to live until your late 80s, be active, you got to eat like you know you should eat. You have to work out. And he says if you're over 50, 6 days a week is the minimum.
wow.
Well, and so I try to work out 6 days a week. Now that it gets interrupted when I travel, but like this morning, I was at the Y at 5 o'clock. And the third one is, you got to have a good partner. If you have those three things, your odds for success are really, really high compared to most people. So I got two of them down, so I'm working on the third one. So hopefully, I find that individual, and because I'm sure I probably won't work much anymore. But I'm sure I'll always do something, whether it's donating my time. But I want to find that third piece of the puzzle for me, and then I think I'm set for the next 15 or 20 years.
That's awesome. You're good. You're good. Yeah, that's awesome. You got to stay out. You got to stay active if your girls are going to be taking you on 50 to 60 mile treks through the mountains there. So
Yeah, well, I don't know how many more of those I'm going to do, but I just came back from skiing. They're up in Lutzen. You ever been to Lutzen?
uh-uh.
It's up north of Duluth,
Okay.
and it was really really nice. I was surprised. It was 2 weeks ago and had heavy snow, and it was nice. So we skied for 3 days, and I
That's
mean I
awesome.
got sore, but you know what? When you work out every day, it really helps. If it wasn't for that, it would be a problem. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I have no complaints about it.
Yeah, I definitely understand. As a 34-year-old with 2 kids that doesn't work out as much as he used to, I definitely, I feel it now. So yeah, even you got to stay active. It's good for the joints, good for the muscles for sure. So, well, Carl, how can people keep up with TECS and what you guys are doing over there? How can they check you guys out?
Well, I have a book that I wrote. It's called Profit Through Change. Um, I mean, it's the first book I ever wrote and the last one because it's, excuse me, it's a lot of work. But I outline at least in there what I do and how I do it. And then the website, the texusa.com. And other than that, it's easy to get a hold of me, that's for sure. But I'm more than willing to talk to anybody. I talk to a fair number of people about, mentoring and what they're going to do with their career. I'm more than open to talk to people. I enjoy it. So to me, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and hopefully, the Lord's good to me and lets me work for a few more years yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you can get out there and make some more companies more profitable as well. So definitely head over there, check out Tex USA, especially if you guys are in the manufacturing space and want to, make your business more profitable. Check out some of those case studies. He knows what he's doing, guys. So give him a call. The number's right there on the website. Carl, thank you so much for coming on the show. You were an awesome guest.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, are we still live? Hey guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.